Hey, what's cracking everybody? Welcome back to Computer Games Hardware. Today on the channel, we are reviewing Senua Saga Hellblade 2. So this is the sequel to the award-winning Hellblade Senua's Sacrifice, and straight off the top, one thing that I can't stand is that they've switched around the naming nomenclature for the titles. So the original was Hellblade, Senua's Sacrifice. This one is Senua's Saga, Hellblade 2, and I am just not here for it. If you're gonna do that and you're gonna change the name of your franchise, you must always follow the Fast and the Furious naming scheme. So this one should have been called To Hell To Blade.
Keep your eyes on the road, playboy.
That's just my personal opinion on it. Let me know what you guys think. We're going to call it Hellblade 2 from now on. This is an immersive, handcrafted experience with really delicate motion capture, stunning visuals, and some of the best audio I've heard in a game. This is a title that really commands you to play with some earphones or headphones on to really help boost the experience. Developed by Ninja Theory in Unreal Engine 5, this is certainly a showcase for the Unreal Engine. It is spectacular visual and audio experience that is just needs to be seen to be believed. One thing that immediately impressed me with Hellblade 2 was just how well this game ran even on mid hardware. The game features a expanded combat system with new moves and features for Senua to tackle her enemies. There's a little bit more of engaging combat, and much like Senua's Sacrifice, it features some puzzles and runes to be discovered throughout your journey. That's been pared down a little bit, and that was one of my criticisms in Hellblade 1, that the puzzles were a bit over the top. Ninja Theory really pared that down a little bit with varying results. So let's talk about the story. You play as Senua, our hero from the original Hellblade, has been captured in this one by the Viking slavers that set in motion the events of the original Hellblade. So I won't go into spoilers for that game there, but we find ourselves sort of on a mission to seek vengeance for the events of Hellblade 1. And for mine, I felt like this was pretty surprising as we go through the story. As we know, the Hellblade series of games tackle some really heavy topics. So just a little trigger warning for anyone there. We're going to be talking about heavy subjects like mental health and things like that throughout this series. Our hero Senua suffers from a mental health disorder, some kind of psychosis where she hears voices.
So easy to slip, Senua. Look down. What's you back?
You don't listen to him.
That can be a detriment or a benefit to her journey. Her journey is filled with whispers and echoes and a really dark atmosphere as you travel through your adventure, not knowing what's real and what's not, with psychosis being a major element in Senua's story. With the fantastical elements of giants and Norse mythology strung throughout this series, it's a really dark and bold story that has been told. I'm not sure this picks up where I would have wanted it to. It continues on to the story, but for whatever reason, it just didn't feel like straight away to me that the story sort of catapulted us into another journey or adds more to the resolution of Hellblade 1. And for me, that's where some of the problems started to creep in. This is a 6 to 8 hour story. I didn't feel like the story was taking me in an interesting direction. There are some scary and some really confronting sections of it, but I didn't feel the same type of immersion that I did with the original Hellblade. Part of that goes into the controls, the combat, and the gameplay as well. So let's talk about the controls for a little bit. Now, as you would expect from Ninja Theory, this game controls like you would expect. They're nice and responsive. However, one issue I found is that I played most of this game with one hand, just pushing up. So that was a big problem for me. This has been considered by some as maybe a really amazing tech demo or a walking simulator, and that's some of the discourse around this title. And I'm not going to go that far, but I am going to acknowledge that I experienced those issues as well. So for a lot of this game, it's just pressing up on the controller as you travel through the journey. It's a bit of a long walk throughout this game, and I had a hard time really being immersed from it until some of those big action set pieces came to pass. Hellblade 2 features some upgraded combat, which is surprisingly fun. It's just a little far and few between. There are some big action set pieces, and the combat feels really good. It takes a little bit to get used to, but it immediately reminded me of Ninja Theory's previous titles like Heavenly Sword and some of the quick time events. In this game, you don't have an action button popping up to be able to execute it, but you are parrying and you are dodging and you're attacking based on sort of, it's almost like a Souls-like combat loop where, you've got to dodge, you've got to make sure you're striking at the right points, and I just got the feeling if there was a prompt on the screen, it would feel like a quick time event. So, that was a little bit of a bummer for me. I do have to say I had fun in the combat systems. One thing that did let it down, though, was I thought for such a short game, some of the enemies were just same and same again. It was guys in masks or, different type of Viking type demons in masks and something. So the immersion really dissipated once I understood the fighting patterns of each different type of enemy. And, you're not spending a long time fighting enemies in this game. You're having a fight in a set piece, and then you're traveling for an extended period of time, and then you're repeating the same gameplay loop over again. So unfortunately for me, that was a little bit of a low point. I would have preferred a little bit of variety, some better exploration. And that brings me to the hey, just want to jump in here, guys. If you're enjoying any of the content here on Computer Games Hardware, please smash that like button, subscribe, and get a watching the videos. I really appreciate it. Watching the videos really helps me out. Let me know where you're from in the comments down below. Thanks for watching, guys. Puzzle side of Hellblade 2, which has been pared down. Ninja Theory acknowledged that that was probably one of the things that people didn't like about the original Hellblade, but I think they pared it back too far. They made it too simple. In the environment, there are sort of different runes and things in the spaces that you visualize that help open paths to different places that you need to go. So you need to explore and look at those. You also have runes on in hidden locations that can help expand the story a little bit. But I found in my playthrough that I wasn't going out of my way to look for them because honestly, it didn't add that much to the story. So that was a little bit of a struggle for me. We've already talked about it a couple of times, but let's crack into the graphics. So this game is the best looking game that you're going to see from now for years to come. This is going to be one of those titles where, you know, we're going to be doing videos on the greatest graphics of all time or games that still hold up 15 years later. Hellblade 2 is going to be one of those games. It is an absolute powerhouse. And as I mentioned before, even on moderate hardware, you are going to have an excellent gaming experience. Fire looks realistic, the realistic dynamic shadows. It's all set in a dark, moving places. The motion capture and the expressions on Senua and her campaign mates' faces is unreal. There's a set piece early on in the game where you come up against one of the main antagonists in the game, and you it's sort of the tutorial on how to use combat, and it is absolutely insane. You walk up and it looks like two people in battle on screen. It looks as good as a movie. It's uncanny how amazing it looked. The actors, the voice capture, and the performances are absolutely amazing. I really have to give it to Ninja Theory. They have taken the video game cinematic experience and they've made it the best that it could possibly be. This was the game that they set out to make, and they achieved that 100%. This game obviously is doing some things that no other game is doing in terms of the visual and audio experience, and I want to take some time to talk about the audio experience because it is second to none. This game is best played with some earphones or some headphones in because it's got this bilateral audio experience which just blows you away.
They question you.
Are you the one, Senua?
She has to be.
The lake is here too.
Look at the water. This doesn't feel right. So deep and dark. It is trying to claim us, trying to take you down with it.
The sound design in this title is just second to none. Senua experiences psychosis and she hears voices, and with that comes sort of like ASMR whispering and different things like that, and it's really an experience to behold. I think they went a little too far with it. I would have liked a little bit more quiet time with Senua to build up those big experiences, because it seems like at some points the whispering and the internal monologue is just going on constantly, which is a feature of the game, but I thought it would have helped the tension a little bit if they toned it down a little bit and then drummed it up a little bit more. But anyway, it's an experience to behold. So if you're playing this game, late at night in a dark room, turn off all the studio lights, put some earphones in, and really take some time to take it. I played this on Game Pass, so while it was incredible value, I wonder whether anyone's buying this game for a full price game, because for me in Australia, I think it's a $70 experience, and for an 8-hour experience, it doesn't quite meet the price for me. Again, very fortunate, was able to play it day and date on Game Pass, and I think that's been Xbox's big strategy, so that clearly worked. For me it did anyway, so I see why they wanted it there. Was it the big huge AAA release that they were looking for? I'm not sure. Now, usually I'm not the type to talk about a 8-hour experience adding to my value or devaluing. I think short experiences are fine. I quite enjoy short games. I take issue with Hellblade 2 a little bit because I believe that Hellblade 2 actually being an 8-hour experience is being quite generous. As I mentioned, most of the time while you're experiencing this game, the gameplay features you pressing up on your controller. I played a lot of this game, pressing up on my controller in one hand, and I think that the walking simulator element to it, which we have to be fair, that's a lot of it is overexpanded. There's a lot going on during the game in those moments. There's audio and visual experiences to experience. There are the psychotic whispers that you hear, and the story narrative plays out during those moments. But realistically, as a game, you are just pressing up on your controller, and that is quite a lot of the game. A lot of that experience for me, seems a bit like filler. There's not a lot in there, and it could have been cut down even further. I believe if you took out all the fluff and things and some of the story elements, some which really didn't make sense to me, you could compress this down into a enjoyable 3-4 hour experience. And that's where I take issue with the walking simulator element or the short game experience. While we're saying it's an 8-hour experience, to me it was actually a really 3 or 4 hour experience, filled in with some of this like exploration and photo mode stuff that didn't really add to the overall experience. I came in looking for an extension to Senua's story from Hellblade 1. And while I got some elements of that, I just don't think that it hit the highs. I just don't think it hit the highs and lows of Hellblade 1. If you're the type of person who's a completionist, it might warrant a second playthrough. It's quite a short experience, and if you've already played it and you're fully engaged and you're just like rune hunting, then that might be too. But I don't see you playing it more than 2 times. So there's not much replayability here. The game loop is a little bit leaves a little bit to be desired. So for individual experience, it's a fantastic audio and visual experience. Replayability isn't much there. Single player experience, so you're really buying into that one singular experience. I don't regret my time with Hellblade 2. I quite enjoyed a lot of the elements in this game. There is a lot to like in this singular experience. You'll see and hear things that you haven't heard before. There are some really enigmatic and enormous set pieces that are set to dazzle. Unfortunately, there are a couple of elements, namely the story and gameplay, that leave a little bit to be desired. Anyway, that's going to do it for this one, guys. Let me know what you think of Hellblade 2 and the controversy surrounding that and Xbox and Game Pass at the moment. I've really enjoyed making this one. I hope you've enjoyed watching it. Get subscribed to Computer Games Hardware. I will be posting my full playthrough of Hellblade 2 for you to enjoy in 4K somewhere down the line. So I'll keep making these if you keep watching them, and I will catch you guys in the next one. Thanks for watching. See you next time.